Hello, shooters, loaders, and casters. Welcome to the Georgia Shooting Connection Friday night live stream. Hope y'all had a good week. How was your week, CW?
Oh, it was a good week. Good week. We had some really nice weather. Windows open at night. Windows open during the daytime. 70 degrees. Really, really nice. Really, really nice weather. Got to the range today. Spent about 4 hours there. Had a really good time. 2 guys there when we got there. They were leaving as we pulled in. Nobody else on the range. So, love it. Really, really good day. Hillbilly, how's your weather? What's going on? What did you do last week?
Oh, man. I had a really good week. Good day today. We're forecasted for rains and storms, and we did get some. But luckily, like yesterday, we just got some rain, which was, needed for the springtime. But really no, bad storms last night or today, so that always thankful for that. And anyway, just did get out on the range once this week and do a little shooting. So yeah, I count that up as a pretty good week. How about you, Six? What you got going on, buddy? How's your week?
Oh, I've been pretty good to me. Been a good week for weather. It's rained and not really storms. It's just good rains. What we've had, I don't know, probably 6-7 inches of rain all week. Good week at work. I got a machine finally running that's been down since before Thanksgiving.
Oof.
That one up and running finally, so that's a good thing at work. I've gotten 2 loads of 357 maximum loaded this week.
Woohoo!
Those look good, man.
Yeah. So we got one with jacketed bullet and one with cast bullet. So I'm ready to go to the range, man. How about you, Rebel?
It's been let's just say humid here. We've had rain on and off. It's real swampy. We're supposed to get a break from that Sunday, and looking forward to it. Going to try to get out and do some fishing, and that's one thing about it. If it's too hot to shoot, it's always good enough to fish. So going to try and do that. I'm going to try and do that anyway. We'll see. So business has been good. Slowing down a little bit, which is normal when it gets warm, and our turkey population is down. So guys haven't been as enthusiastic about turkey hunting as normal. We didn't see that big of a bump in business. So, and I did, by the way, have a call at the shop from someone that watches Georgia Shooting Connection, and if not in the side chat, and forgive me, sir, if I forget your name. I forget a lot of names. And he introduced himself and had a question about a value on a Smith & Wesson pistol that a friend wanted to buy from him, and I just gave him a good, honest price and of roundabout of where he ought to be selling that. And he said, "Well, you said anybody that had any questions, just call your shop. I got your number, and there you go." And I was like, "Okay." So Georgia Shooting Connection, performing services for the United States. since
There you
2000,
go.
whatever.
Good deal.
That's
Good
cool.
deal.
Lord knows we love our Smith and Wessons around here.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, how was your week, bro?
Oh, long and tedious, just like always, but it's almost over. I got to do it again tomorrow. But I was discussing with the panel on the pre-chat, and it started raining here, so I had to run outside and divert some water flow into the swimming pool. That way I didn't have to pay for it, so I was out of pocket for a second, but I'm back. We've been needing some rain, hadn't gotten too much of it. They've been calling for it, but that's typical Georgia. May rain, may not. It's going to be hot, going to be humid, whatever. That's what's going on here. And yes, we do love our Smith & Wessons. I am now the proud owner of 2. Let's see. We're just going to keep on keeping on. My wife has to go dog sitting here in the next week or so, and she's going to be gone for about 2 weeks. So I'm going to start cleaning out the reloading room and start reorganizing everything. And oh, what a drama that's going to end up being. But
God help you.
yeah, Mr. Viejo, what's going on, bro?
Hey, life's good here. Speaking of rain, we're due for a little bit out this way too, but it'd be desert rain. We'll be lucky we get a half inch out of it, but we'll take it. Get a half inch of rain here after it not having rained for 6 months. A good time to not be on the highway.
Yes, sir.
The Southern California boys don't know how to drive on slick roads, and they'll be slick. So anyway, yeah, I got to the range this week and shot some video for an upcoming Moldy Monday, which I might put this one up this coming Monday. I've got 8 or 9 episodes in the can already, and ones that I'd shot last year even. And so I'll get that up, I think, this coming Monday. I've been working on the Schofield project. I got that done. The third part of that went out today, in fact. And so that's kind of turned out to be a fun little project. And then
I'm jealous of that Schofield. I'm just going to tell you.
well, you're going to be even more jealous when it comes to the final episode, trust me. When it comes to the shooting part.
That is sexy.
Speaking of Smith and Wesson. But anyway, yeah, so it's been a good week here. I got out, got some walking done. Had a friend that came to visit for a couple of days and got to spend some time there, and it's all been real good. So, looking forward to the next thing, which is what we're doing right now. So,
Good deal.
Pat in the bunker. What's new in the bunker, Pat?
Well, glad to be back after a long hiatus. The cabin is finally slowed down. We're just about done with that. Just about got that whipped. So I'm down to 10 left to go. So yeah, the last several months have just been busy. If y'all have ever been around livestock, you know what I'm talking about. Especially if you got a lot of them. It was supposed to start planting today, but the last 2 days it's been raining, which we needed rain way worse than we needed to put crops in the ground. So it has been drier than a popcorn fart around here, and I ain't kidding you. So, no, but other than that, trying to get out a video a week, like I said I was going to at New Year's. Kind of my resolution to keep pumping out the videos, and I've been shooting way more. Holy crap! I've been going through 9mm ammo like crazy with that new T-sauce that I've been shooting. But man, I absolutely love it. I love 1911s now. I am totally sold on those. Absolutely love it. But yeah, I just finally rained. I could slow down a little bit. I can come on here tonight, or else I would be in the field. And it would be Pat in the field instead of Pat in a bunker. So anyway, so Jamie, how's your week and everything been going, my brother?
I'm glad you asked, Pat. It's good to have you back on with us, brother. CW and I have a mutual friend, and he got back to Georgia. So he lives up there close to CW right now, and he's moving to Georgia close to me. Like he's only like 15, 20 minutes from me. And he got back in town. So he flew in Tuesday. Wednesday night, we decided we're going to supper together, right? So we try to do this once a week. And if y'all wonder who I'm talking about, it's Ricky Baird. And I'm going to pick him up Wednesday night for supper. And we're going to ride up to Calhoun's and Calhoun, Georgia, to a place called Duke's. And very good shrimp po' boys. Anyway.
I thought you were going to say very good mayonnaise.
It is good mayonnaise.
That too.
I don't want no mayonnaise on my shrimp po' boys, but I use cocktail sauce. So I'm going to pick him up, and I can see clouds. Like when I'm getting in the car, I can see clouds over this way behind me, and I can hear rolling thunder. I get in my car and I go anyway. I get about 5 minutes. I make it out to the highway, get about 5 minutes down the road, and you can't see. I mean, it's pouring down. And then the rain got harder. I mean, not harder. I mean, harder. It started bouncing off my car and making big old loud noises. And I got down to his house and I'm like, dude, there's got to be dents all up in my car. I mean, I don't know how that hell. And what reminded me of that was Red Raider Reloaded said he had tennis ball size hail coming toward him. Daniel, I love you, brother.
I ain't too many overpasses on that highway either.
Not on 411, man. Yeah, check this out, Pat. Walks has a point.
Yep.
That was true 100 years ago.
This is the thing, though.
Well,
It's 9mm that's okay. It's called the 38 Super. The
Yeah.
other ones are not allowed.
There's a 10 millimeter too. That's pretty nice.
There we go.
well, I'll tell you what. I wanted a 45 ACP. I really did. But I didn't want to get into a new caliber because I've got a lot of things in 9, so I just went with the 9 double stack, see if I liked it. And somewhere down the road, I probably will have 45 ACP since I am enjoying shooting this 1911 style because it's a 70 series. So it's compatible with a lot of different stuff. So
I love
I'm on
them.
your team, Pat. I got 2 of them.
I've got a few
in that
45s.
caliber.
I love them.
I got
nice.
them all together, but
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I love the 1911 style. I really do. The grip, the angle, and everything is perfect for me. I just absolutely love it. It's my favorite handgun right now. Probably will be for a long time too.
Pat, it's perfect for everybody. That's why John Browning was such a genius.
Right?
Yeah. I don't care. I'll throw my 2 cents in there. I agree about the 45 ACP in 1911, which I have one. I don't shoot it very much. But if I had one in 9mm, I would probably shoot it way more. And what I really want, one I really want in 1911 is a 10mm. And that's one reason the 45 ACP was popular back then. They didn't have a 10mm.
Yeah, you got a point. I do have to admit I do own 3 10mm 1911s, but I don't consider 1911s. I just don't look at them that way. But you're right, they are technically.
Right. That's why I said 1911 style. Now, if I'm going to say a true 1911, yeah, it's got to be in the 45 ACP.
Yeah, we don't call the classic Ford that little 4-cylinder that they come out with at the very beginning and say, oh, well, if you ain't got a Model A, you don't have a classic car. Things are improved and made better, in my opinion. but there's no sense to discount the original. It's awesome,
Yep.
and that's why
And
things
there's
remain
no
relevant.
need to discount a '63 Galaxy with a 427 and 2 fours.
They're sure not. I can agree with that.
My
But yeah, I
Galaxy
just want to
500
tell you,
XL had a 390 in it. That was a good motor.
I've got a built 390 in a truck. I can't drive it right now. It gets the same gas mileage as the space shuttle thing that pulls the space shuttle. Yeah.
Those big FE blocks were not. They were thirsty.
Oh
Yes. Yes,
especially
the
the way
old-
I got especially the way I got this Joker jetted, so and cammed and everything else. So, like pencil leads on the secondaries.
so I just want to tell y'all about getting caught in a hailstorm, going out to eat with Ricky Baird. So,
Well, at least you weren't riding a bike and naked.
That's not even fun to say, man. Come on.
Oh, yes, to see.
Mm.
We nicknamed Jamie Pop Knot after that. That would hurt.
a hailstorm ain't got nothing to do with that hurting, brother. I'm telling you.
I got caught in a hailstorm in a boat one time. That wasn't fun.
No, that hurts too.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Tex. New Texarkans out there. So yeah, my point about the 9mm 1911s is my son went and bought the first handgun that he bought for himself, and he came back with I can't remember I think it's a Rock Island, but it may be a Thesis. But anyway, he come back home with a 1911, and I'm so proud. And then he says, "You got any 9mm, Dad?" And I'm like, ugh. Anyway, y'all had to be there. But no, man, the 9mm will get you hungry for a 45 ACP, and that will. It's a 45 ACP. It's a different game, a different animal, and different. Yeah, it's just a different approach to getting the job done. So tonight we want to talk a little bit about the Burgess rifle. Y'all want to see one?
Yes, sir.
Let me see if I can make this.
I did a little homework before we went live. I thought Jamie was just gonna hold one up. I've already seen the price of them.
It's a takeoff of the 1873, isn't it?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, it's a totally different animal.
Winchester wish it was that rifle right there, in my opinion. So let me read this. Andrew Burgess model 1878 rifle, also known as Whitney Burgess Morse, and I can get into that if y'all want to. Chambered in 4570 government, had the potential to rival the Winchester 1876, being able to handle that powerful cartridge. However, several misjudgments quickly derailed production after less than 2 years. First, unreliable lifter mechanisms caused rampant double feeds, leading to failure in the 1878 military trials. Yet, production tooling had already been finalized before awaiting trial results. Compounding issues, sensitive primers on UMC ammunition frequently detonated in the magazine tube
Nice.
until a special loading addressed this. Originally offered in both rare top loading and preferred side loading variants, the model 1878 saw limited military carbine and sporting rifle production. The samples shown include an extremely rare first model top loader and the also very scarce third model carbine with the bayonet load. Most top loaders were eventually converted to side loaders. Poor timing and unforeseen ammunition issues unfortunately stunted this potentially significant repeater design. Okay, let's talk about Whitney / Burgess / Morse. Uh, uh, this guy's name is Andrew Burgess. And he was born in, I think, let's see, 1837, January 16th, 1837, in Dresden, New York. And he was a skilled photographer. Have any of y'all ever heard of Matthew Brady?
Yes, sir. Famous for the Civil War.
Civil War photographer. This guy just happened to be born and grew up in the farm next to the Bradys. So he was very involved in photography, to the extent that Brady's photography studio ran into some hard times, and Burgess, I think is how you properly pronounce his name, actually bought his studio and then sold it back to him a few years later. But while he was in charge of the Brady photographer, he's actually credited with taking the picture of Abraham Lincoln that's on the $5 bill to this day.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
That's cool.
And he's got several patents. Go ahead, Pat. You want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that that's a really neat piece of history because I've studied a lot of Civil War stuff and I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well,
Very cool.
I didn't either till I started doing show prep for this rifle right here. So, so we're going to call out the side chat here at the bottom of the hour. So if I go past, y'all remind me. So his first rifle, he was a photographer in, let me see if I can find this, the Franco-Persian War of 1870 and 1871, before returning to the United States in 1871. And this sparked his interest in firearm design. And his first patent was granted on September 19th, 1871, converting the Peabody and Werndl arms to magazine rifles. And so Brady fell on hard times in 74, and Burgess purchased the studio, sold it back to him in 76. He's credited with a picture of Edwin McMaster Stanton, who was the Secretary of War, William Pitt Fessenden, Secretary of the Treasury, and General Winfield Scott Hancock. So what happened was he after he got back from that war and he started being interested in firearm design, he started working on a rifle, and his first rifle, he finished design on it in 1872. And it was much like this rifle that we're looking at tonight. And it was chambered in 44 Henry rimfire. Y'all been hearing a lot about that cartridge lately, ain't you?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we're sick of hearing about rimfire copper case junk. But yeah, it was one of those. So it was a completely different design from the Henry, and therefore it was a total different design from the Winchesters. And we're going to look at a film clip here in a minute from Ian McCullum at Forgotten Weapons, if y'all can stand it.
Jamie, didn't it? Those names you mentioned, though, isn't that a testament to Oliver Winchester's eye for talent that he headhunted those guys and got them collaborating?
Well, this is totally opposite from Winchester. This is Winchester's company.
I'm at Colt. I'm sorry. I'm same
Well,
with Colt. Yeah.
We're going to get to that probably week after next, because I think next week we're going to talk about either Kennedy or Marlin. Marlin's first rifle came out in 1881, so we're still a good ways down the road from Winchester's 1886.
Right.
But this design is okay. There was this guy named Morse, Morse, and he went to work for the Confederacy during the Civil War, and he had a lot of patents on cartridge type ammunition and breech loading rifles. He sued the Union, United States of America, for 130,000 counts of copyright infringement. And so during the time that Morris takes this rifle to production, which he started working on in 1875, and they started production in 1878. This case is still going on. So there's the fact that Morse's name is on the rifle itself. Whitney's is not. All right, what happens is Burgess designs the rifle. He takes it to Whitneyville Armory. And Whitneyville Armory is ran by Eli Whitney, the son of Eli Whitney that invented the cotton gin. Right?
Yeah.
So it's the Whitney Burgess. It was produced by Whitney, designed by Burgess. And how that worked is you're basically giving or selling your patent to Whitney to make the rifle, and then you get a royalty, a percentage of each rifle that's sold. And they only made like I want to say 1,700 to 2,400 of these rifles, and the production only lasted 2 years because they didn't have their crap together before they released it to the public. But when your magazine tubes are blowing up in people's hands, that's an issue. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah, if you got to wear brown pants to shoot it, then yeah.
Right. And that was because of it only did it with one type of ammunition, and that was the UMC, United Metallic.
Say, that's not a gun issue. That's an ammo issue.
Right. It was a round pointed bullet in a tube magazine. They're all lined up end to end like that. And UMC at that time were using a very sensitive Berdan primer. And when you shot it, and the recoil would cause the one in front to go off, and then the chain reaction happened. So there's Garage Guy. Let's call out the side chat. What should we have them type in, Walter?
Well, wasn't this rifle originally chambered in 44 WCF 4440?
No.
What was it chambered in?
Rifle was that came in 4570 government.
Okay, so let's put in 4570 and run with that one.
Absolutely. 4570 sounds great to me. Okay. If y'all wondering why the guys on the panel always put theirs in first, it's because there's about a 5 to 8 second delay between what we're saying and what y'all are seeing on YouTube. But anyway, let's call it.
Cheat.
We want to thank all of y'all for being here tonight. So CW Longshot got it in first. He's on the panel and in the side chat. So is Texas 6, and so is Walter Viejo. There's Papa's Place. Glenn Davis is out there. Kyle Lusk is on the panel and in the side chat. There's my buddy Thorzak's. Edward Petty's out there, Tactical Fud. Dwayne 7834 Hillbilly Up is also on the panel and in the side chat. Dale Poe. My buddy Hasbro is out there. Rollis Carvelis, the gun genius. Red Raider Reloading. I hope you're doing all right in that hell, buddy. Bobby Barlow, Walks Fletcher, Mr. Pollard. There's James Pollard. Toy Town Inc. Hasbro 45270 Winchester. We'll put that one up there. Let's see. We got Tactical Fud out there. Dwayne 7834. Patton a Bunker is also on the panel. There's Rollis Carvelis again. Glenn Davis. Ron 2A Matters. Papa's Place. Glenn Davis. Oh, one guy. Garage Guy 879. And I think we're caught up. Are we caught up? Tim S. There you go. Yeah, this rifle, he came out with one in 1875, and then immediately, which was, like you said, Walter, 4440. It was an improvement of his rifle from 1872. Then he got that one in 1875 that was in 4440, and immediately started working on this rifle, which is just everything is scaled up for 4570. Went into production in 1878 by the Whitneyville Armory. So Morse had these patents on breech loading rifles and the cartridge kind of thing. So I think they threw there's speculation as to why Morse is on there, but his name is that, and his patent is actually printed on the top of the barrel of guns, and you may see that in the film clip we're going to look at here in a minute. But I think some people think that Morse actually helped, gave money to get the gun started into production to booster his lawsuit against the union. And then others think that it was a tactical move by Whitney and Burgess to keep Morse from suing them too, if that makes any sense. So y'all want to watch that film clip now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let me see if I can get this done.
Ian does a pretty good job, if I do say so myself.
I love that dude, man.
Yeah, he's got more knowledge than he's forgot about more about weapons than I'll ever remember.
Just to be clear here, I've got two versions. This is a first pattern military carbine. This is a third pattern, and that's the first and the last. So let's take a closer look. We have so much to cover here. So let's start with the basic mechanics. The Winchester, of course, has a toggle link where when the lever's locked, the two toggle arms are solid and prevent the breech from opening. When you pull the lever down, those two arms fold together and allow the whole thing to cycle. What Burgess did that is different is he has a single long, basically locking piece here. And this is going to rotate all the way up and find its way behind the breech face. So we have the breech face of the rifle here. This is just a dust cover. And when I close the lever, this is going to move forward. And then this locking bar is going to pivot up. Notice we have a firing pin here. This is what's going to actually firmly lock against the breech block. That's going to come up right there. And there's that firing pin again. So that acts as a single locking block behind the breech. It's a pretty strong system, and it allows the gun to successfully handle the recoil and the power of 4570. Now, the next thing to talk about is loading. This is a top loading example of the gun, and as such, it's extremely rare. When the gun was released, it was available either as a top loader or a side loader with basically a Kingsgate style of loading mechanism there. And Burgess and Whitney apparently thought that the top loader would be a fairly popular option. Why? We don't know, because in reality, the top loader was completely unpopular. Nobody wanted this. Everybody wanted to be able to load the gun while keeping a round in the chamber, not having to open the entire action. It stays cleaner. It's always ready to fire. This was superior in everybody's mind. So a bunch of retailers had been sent top-loading versions of the gun. They were told, send them back. We'll replace them with side loaders for you, because those will actually sell. The ones that came back were pretty much all converted at the factory to use side gates. They very quickly stopped even making a top loader only version. Because, by the way, you can load this one from the top as well. This works the same on both patterns. You open up the lever, and there's your lifter. You can just drop cartridges right down in there. So this one gives you the flexibility to do it however you like. This one's just limited. Even the examples of top-loading guns that were sold into the private market, a lot of those were retroactively upgraded to have the side loading gate anyway by their later owners. So there are virtually none of these first pattern Burgess military carbines that are still existing with, without the side loading gate. All right, so I just said military carbine. These guns, the 1878 Burgess or Burgess Whitney Morse, were sold in two main patterns. Either a military carbine, which is this. It has a saddle ring on the side. It has a military style tangent sight or notch sight there, calibrated for 100, 200, and 500 yards. And it is relatively short with a 22-inch barrel, a single barrel band and nose cap, and a magazine capacity of 7 rounds. That's the military carbine. Your other option was the sporting rifle version, which has a 28-inch barrel, a 9-round capacity, 2 barrel bands, and no saddle ring. So basically, you get the long one or the short one. Now, this is a good time to mention the 1878 U.S. Army trial looking for a magazine-fed repeating rifle.
We've already talked about the military trials, but you see what I mean about that action? I really love that firing pin and that lever and how it lines up and it gets behind that. It's very Marlin. It's obviously a predecessor to the Marlin rifle. And
Yeah, it's a neat system.
But I felt like it was infinitely better than the toggle link in the 73. Now, don't get me wrong, for pistol caliber cartridges, that's great, but that ain't going to hold up to 45-70 type pressures and much more.
Yeah, that solid lock bar looks solid.
Yeah, substantial.
Yep, that's a good sized piece of meat behind the case on that, and that's what you want. You don't want to mess around with a 45-70 and a toggle lock. That's for sure.
What do you think, Six?
Interesting setup. It's a long throw. It looked like though.
Yeah.
Definitely a long throw. But you can see the influence of that rifle on the Marlin 336, especially the way the lever actually goes up into the bolt and slides it back and forth, whereas this bolt, and I would say, I don't know what you would call it, the breech and the bolt are two different pieces on that rifle, it appears, but the mechanism is one, so there's a lot of work going on. I don't imagine that it's near as smooth as the 73s and the Henrys,
but it's extremely simple.
Well,
I mean, it gets the job done. There's a lot less moving parts, and the only thing that everybody else has done is improved on that and make it better. In my opinion.
Well, that was my main objective for the night, is to show y'all a different design from the Winchester toggle link. No, there's no speed there, Walks. We're going after pure strength, pure stability. I think. But you also got to remember we're not talking about pistol caliber rounds anymore. We're talking about 45-70 type pressures.
I wonder how long it took them to figure out that that was probably a absolute buffalo slayer. Probably not very long.
Probably not. I hate they didn't test the gun significantly before they took it out to the military things, because that rifle, like that one
So
article.
that rifle is different than the Colt burst.
Right. That's a different rifle.
Okay.
But that's going to be an interesting thing. I think we'll talk about that one either next week or the week after next, depending on where the timeline falls with the Kennedy. And I still got to look up the Kennedy rifle.
Yeah, because when I looked up the Burgess rifle, it keeps pulling up the Colt ones, and so I didn't see that system until you showed that video there.
Do what now?
When I was searching to look it up before the show started, all my Google is pulling up is a Colt Burgess. So I didn't see that rifle that you just showed in the video.
Yeah, it's
a
and
totally
I haven't researched the Colt Burgess rifle yet. I assume there's a good many similarities.
Well, there is. I researched it. That's what I'm like. Text. That's what it pulled up, and it was giving Samuel Colt credit for getting all these talented people together, but they were actually already together. You know what I mean? So,
the Colt Burst looks more like the operation of it looks more like a Marlin.
Yeah. And Tan's out there. New name for me. Welcome in, buddy. They do make replicas of the Burgess, as Ian pronounced it. I think Birdie makes a replica of the Burgess rifle.
Geez, how much does that dang thing cost?
Well, I saw a Colt Burgess at an auction site that went for $52,000. But that was an original.
Yeah, I can get a pretty decent pickup truck for that.
Hell, I can get a real decent farm tractor for that.
Right?
I don't even have farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're about right in line. I could get a pretty good mid-size farm tractor for that.
I don't see nothing on your Birdie's website about one.
Taylor's making one. Well, actually, maybe this is a Birdie. Y'all know Duelist 1959? Mike Bellevue.
Mm-hmm.
This is his website.
He's where I get all my black powder information from.
Yeah, I like that dude.
gone through a lot in the last 2 years.
Yeah, he's really been beat up, hasn't he?
Between getting hurt and all the lawsuit stuff.
So that's what I had for a topic tonight. I hope y'all enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
No, I've never seen that rifle, so yeah.
I'd heard of the name, but I guess I'd never put two and two together on that action or anything. Because it's kind of got that, what do I want to say, the sharps kind of flip handle, not necessarily a real, I guess, what we would necessarily call lever action, even though it is a lever action with a loop lever.
Yeah, it don't have a finger loop. It's got that little lever.
Yeah.
The Burgess that Taylor's has is like the Colt.
Yeah.
Like that one.
Boy, a lot of you guys are having bad weather, huh? Yeah, I've seen. Let's see if Hawks Fletcher. Never seen a Kennedy. The only time I've seen one was Mark Novak was doing one.
I saw one at the Western Arts Museum here in town. I don't know if it was on display or a permanent statue there, but I thought the name was interesting. Never did really look into it though.
I'm gonna throw this link out there for you guys for later. It's a link to Ian's video that we watched the clip out of tonight.
A buddy of mine told me if I didn't get out west for any other reason to go to the Cody Farms Museum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually, I think that now you bring that up, Rebel, I think that's the first time that I had really heard about that when Ian went out there and they finally recataloged and put everything up on display really well up there. I think that's the first time I really actually heard about Burgess.
Well, he said it's so awe-inspiring because they bring out rolling plexiglass with guns inside of it that are it's like a library. I mean, you literally pull this out of the wall and it's displayed. And he said it's just unreal how many firearms they actually have.
Yeah, it's nutty, 100%. Now, the one thing when I noticed on the handle on that, Jamie, on the actual lever, it kind of looked like correct me if I'm wrong, or if somebody's ever seen this design before on that. Was that kind of patterned after the Martini Henry?
It does look like a Martini Henry lever.
Yeah, because I'm not saying the action or anything. I'm just saying the lever. It looks an awful lot like a Martini Henry.
Well, there's a number of levers with the Martinis. They had long levers and short levers, and it looks more like a Winchester high wall, low wall lever to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like kind of like a Sharps or something.
Yeah, some of the Sharps too.
I've got a Ruger number 1 that don't look a whole lot.
That's a Farquharson style. That's not a lot different, right?
Oh well.
Kyle's them your frogs?
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been hearing them here. They're not singing for me tonight, so we don't have dueling frogs.
Mine are basking in the rain. I just stepped outside to shut the rain barrel off for a little bit, let it make sure it gets filled back up.
There's Fluffy 10mm Jeep guy. We missed you at roll call, dude. Glad you're here, man. Thank you.
But definitely interesting gun, Jamie. I mean, if that was one of those that somebody was making a reproduction in a 45-70, that might be a big caliber I might think about getting into.
It's an awesome design. It really is. I mean,
well, you think about it. They were that close. If it wouldn't been for metallurgy, they were probably really close to getting a military contract.
You imagine the cost to have that built today, or to make it that way today.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
That rifle retail for $2,800.
Be crazy.
6, did you say you found a Taylor reproduction of the Colt Burgess?
Yeah, there's that's what I see on their website.
Do you remember what kind of money it? No, we're not sell anything. We're just curiouser and curiouser.
And that's probably made by Uberti in a limited run. Or
Yeah.
he had
1637. It's in a 45 long coat.
the greatest pistol cartridge ever devised.
I reckon. There's Ozark Spirit. Look at there. We can relax. He made it. I'm glad. We've been talking about the 1878 Burgess rifle, Ozark, if you're interested. And we'll next week, if y'all are willing, we'll talk about either the Kennedy or the Colt, or maybe the Marlin, whichever comes next in the timeline. I'm trying to keep these in
Sequence. Yeah. And it happens fast in that time period.
Well, and I know somebody would be able to answer this question because you guys are a lot more knowledgeable than I am. But I did have the pleasure of shooting a 45-70 here a little while back. Well, actually, it was last summer. And sorry, ignore the barking dogs in the background. Somebody just pulled up in my yard. But when did the 45-70 actually come out? The actual cartridge. Does anybody know? I've always been. I guess I've never looked it up.
First chambered in the trapdoor, correct? CW.
Yeah, 70.
I think so.
1870s, 1860s.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be in that time frame.
And the reason they came up with the trapdoor is because the guy figured out how to take a musket,
Modify them, yeah.
and modify it. It was cheap for the Army to convert.
Right.
But it doesn't work too good against 10,000 screaming Sioux and Cheyenne.
Y'all not going to believe this. The 45-70 cartridge was introduced in 1873.
Yeah.
Same year as the typewriter. Can y'all believe that?
Same year as the Peacemaker.
Yeah. And the 1873 Winchester rifle.
Yep.
Well, I guess they finally had something to write about or type about.
All these cool guns came out in 73. We got to start doing some reports.
Yep. Look at this bad boy over here.
Right.
Pat,
is
I've
there
had
going to be a test?
What's that?
Is there going to be a test?
Pat, I've had a 4570 for the last 20 years, and it's a wonderfully accurate cartridge.
They're a great cartridge.
If you got in a Marlin or a Contender, or if you're really fortunate and it's been chambered in a Siamese Mauser and rebarreled, you could load that thing to the bejesus. And thus the 450 Marlin. That's why the 450 Marlin came out, because everything factory is loaded to trapdoor Springfield pressure specs.
One of the local guys here, he likes to shoot what they call the Cody Dixon category in the cowboy shooting.
Billy Dixon. Mm-hmm.
And he, he shoots a 45-70, and they shoot it out to 50 yards or so. But yeah, he runs strictly black powder though.
Well, that's a lot shorter than Billy Dixon shot, right? I think
it's called Cody Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all those names myself offhand, but that's one of the categories.
Billy Dixon got famous for they were holed up in an old fort. It was nothing but mounds, and the Indians were shooting at them, and supposedly they rode out on a ridge and skylighted themselves, and the chief came out. He had his big headdress on, and Billy Dixon shot him at a measured distance of a half mile, I think, with a 45-90. I'm not sure. Someone could correct me on that, but and killed him. A lucky shot, right? So they had surveyors there who measured the shot later on and said it was a half mile, but the Indians just gave up. They were like, that's big medicine. No.
I got a match coming up the end of May that I'm going to go attend. And I'm going to shoot what they call Indian fighter category.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use 2 pistols, a shotgun, my 1873, and my Winchester 94.
That'll be fun.
I got to cast up some bullets. I went in there looking, and I guess I sent Tim S. all my cast bullets for 30-30. I didn't have any in there, so I got to go cast me up some more and get them ready.
I'm still debating on a good bullet for my 30-30 loads.
Well, don't debate fast. You got to wait for your mail to come.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
That's the last box I sent you.
I still got
my to me.
No, I sent you 7mm. I sent Jamie 30 calibers.
Oh, okay. Let's say, yeah.
Well, you got some maximum bullets coming too. They're in the same box, but
Cool. Maybe I can get them loaded up before I go to the range.
Yeah, Tex, I saw it. The last cowboy match I went and saw, which was a long time ago, they had a Josie Wells match, and they had a scene where you had to go out and carry your packages and actually say, are you guys going to draw them pistols or whistle Dixie, and then drop them and draw and shoot. And I thought that was pretty fun.
We do a class like that. It's they call Josie Wells, where you don't use a rifle, you use 4 pistols.
Right.
You stage 2 of them and you holster 2 of them, and then you use your shotgun.
Well, the first time I saw that movie when I was young, I thought, how many pistols has that man got? It cost you, if you had a good leather worker, it cost you $500-600 to make a Josie Wells rig. Now you'd have one here, one here, one here, one here.
I guess y'all noticed that Reload from the Hot Pot's not with us tonight. So in his stead, CW's going to tell us about a couple of cartridges that he likes, and I'm anxious to see this. And So, CW, do you want me to play Gene's music for you?
You don't have to, no.
Okay.
I can lead him in. I can lead him in. I got a remake right here. So for tonight, let's see what CW's got. Let's go.
Happy trails to you.
Well, I've been
Close, Chad,
playing with
close.
the contenders quite a bit, which most of you all know. Something I liked for a long time and have gotten back into. I had to sell them all off years ago, and I've been able to pick up new ones. And one of the ones that I had way back when that I really liked was called a 7mm TCU, Thompson Center Uglade. And Uglade was a man named Wes Uglade from Nevada, or I think he was Nevada or New Mexico, or anyway, it was on the West Coast anyway. And he come up with these cartridges through the 70s and released them around the 80s, early 80s, I'm thinking. And I believe the 7 TCU was the first one, wasn't it, Ricky?
I'm not for sure.
I think it was, but he had a whole slew of them. He had a 7, he had a 25, he had a 6, he had a 30, all on this 223 case. And his thing was to expand the neck to the larger bullet diameter and then blow it out so it's straighter. Look at the 223 case. It's about 375 at the base, 0.375 in diameter. And then up by the shoulder where it starts to come to the shoulder, it's around 350, 355. So it's got a slight taper to it. And of course, they did that for their reasons, for the AR rifles, for feeding and semi-automatic. But when you're talking about a bolt action or a single shot rifle, you really don't need to worry about that. And you can pick up some powder capacity by blowing the walls straighter. So that's what he did. He opened the walls up to about 370. So you go from 375 to 370, about a 5,000ths taper. And then he got rid of that 23-degree shoulder that the 223 has, increased it up to about 40 degrees. Now, on some of the bigger calibers, like the 7 and the 30, it's really hard to see that.
Yeah.
And the 30 is one you never, ever hear about because there's a number of other Wildcats that were more popular that just took off more. One was the 30 Apache, which you may have heard about, totally not related, but it was a 30 caliber 223. And then, of course, the 300 Whisper, which was a shortened 223.
Mr. Jones.
Yep. And then more recently, we've got the 300 Hammer, which is a similar 223 case. Most of these are shortened cases where the Uglade was a full-length case. They come a little bit shorter just because when you expand a neck to a larger caliber, you lose a little bit of length. So the one I picked up recently that I wanted because I had a surplus of bullets was the 6mm Uglade. And Thompson Center saw what they did and saw how good it worked with their rifles, and so they bought him out, took him over. I don't know exactly how it worked out, but it became the Thompson Center /U or TCU, and they became Thompson Center cartridges loaded by Thompson Center, released in their barrels.
Mm-hmm.
And they could get carbines and pistols. Mine is a 14-inch custom shop barrel, and I shot it today for the first time. I got it this week. And you can, like a lot of improved cartridges, you can shoot a standard cartridge in it. Now, they don't recommend shooting a 223 in it, although it would fit. But literally, if you have a mandrel die, you can open up a 223 neck, resize the case in a 223, mandrel the neck up to 243, load it, see a 243 bullet, and shoot it. And here we have a 223 case. If you want to blow me up, Jamie, it's easier for you than for me. Here's a 223 case. Now, this one I have prepped. It's already open to 6mm. So if it looks big, it is. It's an open to 6mm already. That's a 223 case. And here is a fire-formed 6mm TCU case. You see it's just a little bit fatter. It's kind of hard to see the diameter, but it is a little bit fatter. And you can see that 40-degree shoulder compared to the 23-degree shoulder. Now this is a pretty good representation because both the necks are 6 millimeter or 243. So what you're looking at there is purely that shoulder difference. Pitch up powder capacity. One of the benefits of doing this is less trimming. Your cases don't tend to grow as much. The more taper in your cases, the more they tend to grow. So cases like 22 Hornet, the H&H, 300 H&H case, those all tend to grow quite a bit because of their design, because of just the reaction of that taper, that gradual taper of the brass. It just tends to grow more than a very abrupt, sharp-shouldered, parallel-walled piece of brass does. Power-wise, you get a little bit, pick up a little bit of velocity, a little bit of energy, but mostly what it gets for you is just a better, more efficient case with a little bit more ease of use because you don't have to trim it quite so much. When I got it all set up, I threw a scope on it. My first shot was literally less than 1/8 of an inch low and less than 1/8 of an inch to the right of a perfect dead center bullseye shot. So it was like an omen. This is going to be a good shooter. I shot up 23 fire forming loads with lead bullets. So not even a jacketed bullet, just a lead bullet. And my group was about 1.5 inches. The video will be out in probably about a month when it gets all doctored up and YouTube says it's okay. But it was a good time. It's running, that load is just beyond a starting load, or below a starting load of 680 powder, which is very close to 1680. And it was going about 1,700 feet per second or so with a 95 grain bullet. So it's got room for more velocity there. It's a really good light, smaller deer load. It's a really nice target load. It's a really nice varmint load. Very light recoil. Easy to make 223 cases. So these TCUs are pretty cool cases. What is it, Ricky? IMSA? IMHSA?
Yeah, International Handgun something.
Yeah, they really took to the 7, and a lot of their members did and got a lot of awards shooting that 7 TCU cartridge.
Yeah, the 7 was very, very popular.
Very, very popular. It's the most popular TCU. I didn't mention the 6.5. 6.5 is another one that he has. Yeah. So he's got the 3 that are popular for Thompson Center are the 7, the 6.5, and the 6. In about that order. 7 being the most popular by far, and then 6.5, and then 6.
So CW, I've got a couple of straight 6x45s.
Yeah.
So just a simple necked up. So it's the only difference, the 40-degree shoulder and body taper.
Yep.
Okay. Got you. Okay.
Yep. 645 is one that was really popular, and it's a little more popular in just a 6 because it's easier to make.
Yeah.
It just literally just run a mandrel through a 223 case, and there you go. It's yours. You got it. You're done.
Well, I thought I was doing something remarkable and did an AR in that, and then decided to do a Model 7 in that, and really neat little rifle.
Yep.
And then I started looking at antique 1960-some bench rest scores and their cartridges next to it. And, of course, 222,
yep.
The 222 Remington really dominated, but the 6x45 and their variants were there. You know, They were there. 6 222s, just all kind of wild stuff. This is way before the BR and the PPC.
Yep. And there's 2 more that get kind of confusing, and they're not in the TCU, but they're in the the flavor of what we're talking about, and that's the 47 6x47.
Yeah.
Now there's 2 different ones, so don't be confused.
You got the 6x47.
Yeah. Right. You've got 2 different cases. The Lapua came out with a 6x47. That's a totally different case than this little 6x47 that I'm alluding to here. The one I'm alluding to here is on a 222 Remington Magnum case.
Right.
Which, if you remember your history, it's just a little bit longer than a 223 case. It came out before the 223. It was when Military was looking at cartridges. They wanted something better. The 222 mag came out, and it was pitched to the military, U.S. military, as a cartridge. For whatever reason, they didn't choose it. They didn't like it. They wanted something different, and the 223 was introduced, and the 223 was accepted and taken off, and it is what we have today. But the 222 mag is a case that's used for another cartridge that you may be familiar with, and that's called the 204 Ruger.
Yep.
That uses a 222 mag case as a parent case. So that's a 6x47 when you take that case and just open it up to 6mm. And then Lapua used a totally different case that's fatter and shorter, and made a real powerhouse 6x47. But that's totally different than what we're talking about. So there's a lot of really neat wildcats that made on the 223, and I'm really enjoying this one. It's known to be very accurate. The 7 is known to be very accurate. The 25 is kind of neat because, especially for me, because I have a 25-45 Sharps, which came out about 10 years ago-ish. And that's just a 223 case opened up to 257. Literally just run a mandrel in it, load it, you got it. The U-Glade, the O-Glade, is going to be a little bit superior to that, 15%-ish. Just like the 6 TCU is a little bit better, moderately better than the 6x45. It really isn't enough to crow about, but it's a little better.
Right.
Kind of like the K-Hornet over the Hornet. You make a K-Hornet to get better brass, more durable brass, not really to gain much in velocity. You do, but 150 feet per second-ish. It's not a lot.
It's kind of like improving like I have a 260 Ackley on a 308 case, which a 260 is.
Yeah.
How much actual performance gains do you get with an already improved case, which is what PO said, and it's about realistically 3%. It's not that much.
Yeah.
It's but not, you never trim. So
but you get a better case. You get a better,
you,
more efficient case, and you get easier use, loading, reloading. So that is enough for a lot of people.
I like to tell the
it does look sexier too. I got to admit, it's a sexier looking case.
Yeah, I'd like to tell the Creedmoor boys I shoot a 264 by 51 improved, and it would make them scratch their head.
I remember when that 284 Winchester came out, and that was like the prettiest looking case you could imagine. That was that's straighter walls, that's sharper shouldered. If that came out today, we wouldn't have the Creedmoor.
No, you'd have to name it
Creedmoor.
You have to name it something sexier, though. Yeah. You have to catch the younger generation.
Yep. So there we go. That's what I have to offer you tonight. It's the improved 223s U-Glade come out with in the 70s and released in the 80s. Thompson Center picked them up, and that's the TCU cartridges.
That's neat, CW. Thank you.
Very cool, CW. Thanks. A lot of stuff I didn't know right there, like all of it.
That's why I always question, and I think Thorzak says he's got one. Is why didn't that TCUs work good in an AR?
I think it's the body taper. There's a reason for that.
That 40-degree shoulder doesn't feed well.
Just doesn't feed great.
Well. Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, but in a single shot and a bolt action, they just excel.
The same reason they don't have a 6BR belt fed, so they don't feed good.
To go back to what Walter said, there's a lot of information that I didn't know, which would be all of it.
Yeah, I used to go down to Pearland. They had IMSA down there shooting out to 200 meters with handguns, and a lot of them were shooting at 7mm TCU.
It's a nice little cartridge. It really is. It doesn't belt you hard. It's efficient. It's really nice. I really enjoyed mine. I had it for a while. I had a 10-incher. I really enjoyed making the cases. It's a lot of fun. You got to blow them out. So that's literally what I did. Like I said, I took this and I opened it up to 6mm. I made up a bunch of 95 grain cast bullets. I just picked up an 85 grain mold. It's twisted 1 in 10. So you'd think that it's the same as a 243. It's going to be great, the 100 grain bullets. But you got to remember it's lower velocity. So where the 243, if you read and you remember your history, it was marginal with 105s. A lot of companies and a lot of people would say, "Oh no, don't shoot the 105s. Don't shoot the 105s. 100 is it." Well, when you're dropping 400 or 500 feet per second, 350, 400 feet per second, 100 grain bullets can be marginal for stabilization. Generally speaking, when you're marginally stabilized, if you can kick that bullet in the butt and get some velocity behind it, it'll stabilize. If you drop it back in velocity and you're marginally stabilized, it's going to be awful. Yeah. So with a 1 in 10 twist, 90 is probably where you're going to be best. So I was worried about that 95, and I wanted the 85 grain bullet to use. So as it turns out, I had the typical cast bullet flyers in my case expansion loads, fire forming loads. But aside from that, I burned out a hole about 3/4 of an inch in that target with 75% of my shots.
Nice.
50 yards. So, and like I said, the very first one was almost a pimple, almost perfect dead center. When you watch the video, you'll laugh. I had my uncle there. He's been shooting with me a lot. And he said, "Put the gun away. Just stop. Just stop. You're not going to get any better." I looked at the scope, sure enough. So it was a good sign, and I'm taking it as such. It's a pretty gun, and it's a pretty barrel. It's a matte blue that the TC custom shops have, and I've got a House of Arms forend on it, which is a kind of funky looking if you're not into contenders, but it feels. I will have more of these forends. This is my first one. They're a little pricey, but they feel so good. They sit on the rest perfect. They sit in your hand perfect. It's a really, really nice design. Have you seen them, Ricky? You know what I'm talking about?
I think I seen them.
You saw my picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't really make out what it was.
Maybe I'll do a quick video short or something on it because it's nice. It's nice, and they're not that popular, but they should be. If you're into contenders, you need to look at these and just kind of swallow and just order.
A lot of them posted on Facebook in TC group.
Yeah. House of Arms is going to be more and more popular because they are one of the companies that's going to be handling the new Thompson Center releases and the new stuff. So you're going to hear more and more about that company.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of people unboxing their brand new TC firearms.
Yeah,
they're coming out. So.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I can't wait for the custom shop to come back. I miss that. Of course, for me, I could drive up there and go in there. It was only New Hampshire. It's only a couple hours away, and it was worth the trip for sure. It's just nice. It was a nice place. Getting the catalogs, couple of once a year, whatever they put them out. I miss that.
Yeah, I've seen one guy and did his. It was the buck hammer, whatever 350 buck hammer or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd gotten it in that caliber.
What are we typing in, Jamie?
For what?
Call out the side chat.
We did that at 8:30, buddy.
Oh, I guess I walked away from that. I'm sorry. I had to say hey to my wife.
So you're talking about these cartridges, but you got Henry has come out with a couple of 223 levers recently. They got that what do they call it? The Elite or the Premium or it's got no hammer on it. It's a lever action fed from a magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they got 300 blackout.
Long Ranger too. Both of those are available in 223, and they might be pretty cool rechambered in a TCU. They should be fine. That action should feed them just fine.
Uncle Jim too wants to talk about 357 Mac.
Oh yeah, I love that one. You know I do, Jim. Oh boy, I got a new barrel in that too. Ricky's going to be doing some stuff. We'll be doing more. In the back of my head, I want to get all mine out. I've got a 24, a 21, a 17, and a 10. So I'd like to get them all out and put them all over the chronograph. Same loads, different cast bullets, different loads. I just acquired about 150 grain Remington core lock bullet from a guy that I talked to online. And I'm looking forward to building up some loads around those because I think those kind of stunk in the 35 Rem in the rifle barrels, but I think they might excel with shorter barrels in the Maximum on game. So I'm kind of excited to get those. I do have some that I've just been kind of hoarding them because I don't have enough to really build a load and use them. But now with this 300 coming in and more promised if I need them, I'm kind of excited because I can build some nice loads. I also had a guy reached out to me who has some 180 SSPs, offered them to me. I don't know what the cost is going to be. It wasn't a deal. It was just an offer. So they may be steep, but we'll see because that was a great bullet. And I happen to have a couple boxes of those, but not a lot. And anybody who knows what those are, that was a bullet Remington produced. A number of companies made these. They call them single shot pistol bullets. And they were just slighter constructed than a regular rifle bullet to expand down lower velocities to work in shorter barrel pistols shooting rifle calibers. And pretty much they're all gone today. If you find them, it's SSP. Sierra had them.
Yep.
And Hornady had them. I don't know if Spear ever did.
I don't know.
But Sierra and Hornady both had them.
Yeah.
They had them in 7mm, had them in 35, they had them in 30.
And here's the ones I loaded this week.
Oh, yeah. That's that FTX 200.
Yeah, this is the FTX Hornady 200 grains. And then that's the 175 cast bullet out of my mold. But yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
it's going to be a good one. I
So-
loaded up some of those. This one is, my mold says 360-198. It's from NOE. The current molds say 358-200, but it's the same exact bullets. They changed the name. It resembles the Lyman 358-430, which is a very bulbous looking 200 grain round nose that was designed for the 38 Smith & Wesson. It's got a very short nose. In other words, the grease grooves come up a lot on the shank of the bullet. On my bullet, the NOE bullet, it's squished down to the base. So what I call it is, I call mine a rifle bullet where I call the 430 a pistol bullet. Of course, you can use them interchangeably and it really makes no difference. But my bullet has more nose where the 430 has less nose. And I've sent some to Jamie. He likes them for the 35 Rem, and I do as well. But I tried them as a solid in the Maximum just today over a good load of 680. From my 10-inch SSK, they were going almost 1,800 feet per second. So
I want to show you something.
It wasn't a light load.
I want to show you and tell you something, but we're coming up on time for the verse of the week. Tim S has a question. Any tips for lubing a lever action? And Kyle Lusk, the rascal, took the words right out of my mouth. Less is more. Basically on lever guns, when you get that bolt out and you can see where it's rubbing and wearing, that's where you need to put just a dab of, don't over lube it. That's bad news, bad mojo. And Walter, you got any tips for him on that one? I know you got a rack full of lever guns.
Yeah, pretty much just what you and Kyle both said. I don't add a whole bunch of lube at all to the lever guns, a couple of the pivot points, and maybe just a, finger dab on the bolt. That's it. And it didn't need anything else.
I usually just put a drop on it and then smear it out with my fingers really good.
Yeah. Because all it's going to do is you collect dust and all kinds of stuff up in there too easy. And there just isn't all that much high speed, motion going on at all. It really requires much. Just, keep it clean and light lubrication to keep it from
My
wearing.
lever goes really fast.
Well, I wonder why that is.
M. Gabriel had a question back when I was talking about 243 that I see. I was looking for Tim's question. I didn't find it, but M. Gabriel asked how heavy can you go in 243 with a 1-8 twist? And the answer to that is basically any 243 bullet that's made today. And the top you're going to find, I think, is a 117 I've seen.
That's about it. That's about it.
115 is a little more common, and 110s, 108s are what generally is considered a heavyweight 243 bullet. But they do make a 115. What is it? RDX makes that? RDX?
RDX makes it. DTAC makes 117. Sierra makes a 110. I think that's as heavy as Sierra's gone thus far. Burger, I'm not sure if Burger's got a 117 or not.
I know Burger has a 108 because that's the heaviest that I could find when I built my 06.
Mm-hmm.
My 06 is on a 1-8, and I've shot 115s under half an inch. So mine are fully stabilized.
Let me show you.
Millimeter is virtually the same as a 243. I got a little more powder capacity, but it's virtually the same. So any 243 bullet that I know of should be able to stabilize at a 243 with a 1-8 twist.
Mm-hmm.
These ain't going to stand up. Let me show y'all these right quick, and then we'll get to the verse of the week. So these aren't 357 Max. These are 350 Legends. And this is that's a factory Winchester load, 180 grain. Come on, you're going to focus.
It's got it.
All right, so I loaded up. This is my 359 hammer with the Penta hollow points, and CW sent me these. These are the 358 490s. Is that right, CW?
Let me see the side of it a little more. I think that's the bullet I'm talking. That's the one I'm talking about as a hollow point. That's my bullet. My mold says 360-198, but the current ones say 358-200. It's the same exact bullet.
Yeah. I bought this mold after trying these bullets. Anyway, I loaded these up, and you can see if I put them all on the same playing field, you can see how much shorter my cast lead bullets are,
Mm-hmm.
and they were having trouble feeding. So I took the barrel out of that gun, and right there on there's not really feed ramps. They've ground down the barrel extension a little bit, and this is a Shaw accuracy barrel. It's a very nice, well shooting barrel, good shooting barrel. And y'all know the 357 Max is very similar to this. It's rimmed. It's maybe a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, and these are 355, where the 357 Max is a true 357 diameter bullet, but they're very similar. As a matter of fact, when the 350 Legend first came out, they recommended using 357 Max data. And of course, you can load them a little hotter than 357 Max. I don't know why, but after I did that work on that barrel, Brian, these things fed out of the magazine really, really good.
Oh, perfect.
So I still want another platform for 350 Legend. And I'm also thinking I'm really wanting that Thompson Center Encore Pro Hunter. And one of the first barrels I'd get for that would be either 357 Max or or 350 Legend. Probably 350 Legend just because I have so much stuff. So for that, but yeah, man, those are fun to play with, and technically any bullet you can use there, you can use in 35 Remington as well.
Yeah, the reason that the maximum is safe for the Legend is because of pressures. Similar case volumes, similar diameters, and the maximum is loaded to about 40 to 45,000, where the Legend is loaded to about 50. So you've got more case volume in the Legend, less in the maximum, and the maximum is loaded to lower pressures. So any load, published load for the maximum, can be used as a starting load in the Legend. Now, it may or may not feed. I mean, it may or may not function in your AR because of the pressures there and the gases needed because of the powders and the gases created by them. So that part might be an issue. But if you've got a single shot, or if you've got a lever action, or if you've got a what's the other one? I guess that's it for the 350 Legends, huh? Single shots and semi-autos. It'll work fine with the single shots.
There's a lot of bolt guns.
Yeah, and bolt guns. So it'll work fine in those because you don't have to worry about pressures. I mean, gas, amount of gas you produce.
Or it's less, you're less concerned about cartridge overall length as well.
One thing I will say that's come up for a lot of guys with a number of cartridges, especially cartridges designed for the ARs, because the ARs, AR-15s, you're limited in pressure to about 50,000, depending on case head. 50,000 with a 375 case head, and it's a little even more worrisome as you get bigger. So you've got like the 450 Bushmaster, which has a 473 case head. You can't run 50,000 PSI with that cartridge in an AR. Oh, no. If you notice the pressures, they're loaded to about 28, under 30, because the thrust at the bolt face is so much greater when you go bigger. So you have to go down in pressures. So what people find is 450 Bushmaster is a really good example. You can take the loads that are safe in an AR and go to a bolt action, and you look at that same bolt action with a 473 case head is loaded with a 308 to 60,000 PSI. But in a 450 Bushmaster, it's only loaded to 28,000 or 30,000. So you've got room to load that up a little bit very safely and get some improved ballistics very easily. But with cartridges like 350 Legend, you're not going to find it. You're not going to get it. At least I never have. And I haven't seen Tommy Boy in the side chat, but maybe he's out there. I just missed him. But him and I have talked a lot, and he actually sold off his AR because he had so much problem with the brass flowing and loose primer pockets with basically factory loads in the Legend, because it's right there at the limits of the brass from a lot of manufacturers. And it basically just eats brass if you try and push it. So you can't get any more performance out of the Legend without really just chewing up your brass. One shot and you're done. So
I can
be careful.
that.
Be careful loading the Legend hotter. You really shouldn't.
And the predominant range brass is Winchester, and that's sketchy to begin with. And to me, I buy a lot of Starline 350 Legend brass.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's Ozzy Osbourne. We got Service Venator joined us. Thank all you guys. It's time for past time for our verse of the week. So, Walter, you ready for some John down there? He might have had to go to the men's room or something. So, y'all remember we've been doing the 7 I am statements of Jesus from John's Gospel. And we're at the 7th one. And next week we'll cover either one of the two. These are all metaphoric I am statements. So next week we'll cover the two, one or either both of the definitive statements. So we're going to start in John chapter 15. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. We're going to skip chapter 3, verse 3, go to verse 4. Abide in me, and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. And verse 5, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. So I am the true vine as the seventh I am statement of Jesus. Let's do a quick outline of John chapter 15. So by now, Jesus is withdrawn from his public ministry, and he is pouring his last hours, minutes, and seconds into his disciples before his crucifixion. So verses 1 through 11 of John 15, Jesus explains the disciples' relationship to himself and the Father. The grapevine analogy would have been very familiar to the disciples whom were listening to him. All through the Bible and the Old Testament, Israel is referred to both in a good way and bad ways to the vine, to the farming. Agriculture is very prominent in that society, so they would have been very familiar with all aspects of a grapevine. Verses 12 through 17 talks about the disciples' relationship to each other. Love one another, love each other as God has loved the Son, and the Son has loved us. And one of my favorite verses, any of you guys that have served in the military will recognize John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. That's a very pivotal verse in my life. Verses 18 through 25, Jesus is talking about the disciples' relationship with the world. So if you're a true Christ follower, the world will hate you because it hated Jesus first. And the reason for that is Jesus came and shone light on the darkness, and the darkness could not overtake it. And verses 26 and 27, Jesus promises the coming of the Holy Spirit. He refers to him as the helper who proceeds from the Father. So the true vine, think about this. Jesus is God, right? Yet he submits to the will of his Father, who is also referred to as the Ancient of Days, the great I am, and Yahweh. But let's look at verse 2 there. Vines not bearing fruit, he takes away. So that is God the Father. The vine dresser will take those away. You can see that right here on your screen. Verse 2 there, there's alternate meanings here. Now, our initial thought would be the branches that aren't bearing fruit, he takes away. A more accurate interpretation of that Greek word there, takes away, would be to lift up. So before the vine dresser would actually cut that vine off, he would lift it up off the ground and get it to where it's going to get more sunlight than it has been getting. He's going to give that vine every opportunity to bear fruit before he just cuts it off and throws it to the side. And verse 6 actually says, I think it's verse 6, says the branch is cut off, cast out.
Yep, pruned.
Is withered, and they gather them up and throw them into the fire. They are burned. So the analogy there is God's going to give us every chance to bear fruit. Excuse me. Before he casts us away. I wanted to share with y'all John MacArthur's notes there on verse 2. He takes away the picture of the vine dresser, i.e., the Father, getting rid of dead wood so that the living fruit bearing branches may be sharply distinguished. This is a picture of apostate Christians who never genuinely believed and will be taken away in judgment. The transforming life of Christ has never pulsated within them. And those he prunes. God removes all things in a believer's life that would hinder fruit bearing, i.e., he chastises to cut away sin and hindrances that would drain spiritual life, just as the farmer removes anything on the branches that keep them from bearing maximum fruit. And that's in contrast to what we just said about God giving us every opportunity. So I just wanted to share that with you. And I'll the abide in me, the word abide there. This is John MacArthur again. The word abide means to remain or stay around. The remaining is evidence that salvation has already taken place and not vice versa. The fruit or evidence of salvation is continuance in service to him and his teachings. The abiding believer is the only legitimate believer. Abiding and believing actually are addressing the same issue of genuine salvation. Our buddy David Guzak says that back in verse 1 says Jesus is the true vine. We must be rooted in him, not in Israel, if we will bear fruit for God. In the new covenant community, our first identification is in Jesus Christ himself, not in Israel or even in the church as such. And he goes on to say that of the many pictures of the relationship between God and his people, the vine and branch picture emphasizes complete dependence and need for constant connection. The branch depends on the vine even more than sheep depend on the shepherd, or the children depends on the father. As Jesus was about to depart from his disciples, this was important encouragement. He would remain united in them and they to him, as truly as branches are connected to the main vine. Questions or comments?
Deep stuff.
Well, yeah, the whole chapter is John's telling us, that Jesus is saying, hey, if you'll follow me and believe in me, I'll love you in the same way that I followed my Father's wishes, and he loves me for that. But if you're not going to do that, you're going to be pruned, and that's what he's talking about. Says, as Jamie said, we'll give you every chance, but you got to take it. When opportunity knocks, if you're in need of that opportunity, this is when you ought to grab.
Yeah, so I was talking to one of our buddies who was in the side chat earlier. I hope he's still out there. But me and him were talking about this exact thing, not this week, but last week. And he told me to make sure that I told y'all that pruning, that stuff hurts. It really does. And I would agree. So that's what I got to say. You want to say something, Hillbilly?
Oh, yeah. I think you hear, in a lot of people's testimonies, once they become saved, there's basically stuff in their life, if it might be an addiction, whatever the case might be, that basically gets pruned away from them. And I think through life we all go through that pruning. You know, if you can just look back on your life, you know, we've seen, you know, pruning. I think everybody could say, well, yeah, there was something in my life that was really, you know, being basically a blockade, or I don't know exactly for the right word, but yeah. And a lot of times that pruning is not any fun at all. But it bears fruit, and for a tree that cannot bear fruit, what happens? It ends up withering away and dying. And there's like a lot when I think when Jesus talks in the disciples about bearing fruit, there's just a big meaning to that. And of course, if you ever had an orchard, raised a garden or whatever, you know, I mean, even just picking little sucker limbs off of a tomato plant, you know, what happens is all that nutrients goes to these limbs that's not producing nothing. So that's going to make your tomatoes, or the case might be, smaller and less. So when you take those off, that nutrients goes to those fruits, which, you know, and produces more and better, you know, fruits. And I think that's what, as a Christian and walk along, you know, with the Lord, that's something that we actually would want. So.
Let me say something right quick, and I'm going to have to sign out early, guys. I've got to go pick up Rigby. Y'all go through the room and try to close out on time so everybody can get over to
Good.
Kentucky Rimfire.
yeah. Count us down, Walter.
Okay, here we go. We got a sighting. Are we ready, side chat? Are we ready, panel? On 3, 2, 1. Hey! I'm going to fill in for Gene here, West Coast weirdo.
All right. So, CW, you and Hillbilly, turn out the lights when you get done. I'm going to go get the baby, and I'll try to come back and join y'all for the after chat. She's only a few minutes away. So.
All right. Safe
Jamie,
travels.
take care, brother.
Good night, Jamie. Thank all y'all.
You're welcome,
Thank
sir.
you, brother.
Anybody
Leave it to Mario to show up with 10 minutes left to go.
You were talking about pruning, Hillbilly.
Mm-hmm.
That's called an ex-wife.
Yeah, she pruned the shit out of me.
Yeah, and it hurt.
What you get for hanging your branches out.
Easy, Walter. Easy, Walter. I remember that one, Mike.
He's just calling a spade when he's talking to me.
Does anybody else have anything on that Bible verse they'd like to share?
I've got so much, but I don't want to share it on here.
You know, that one actually, that particular chapter, you know, most of it gets said in about the first 6 verses. And the rest of it, John's kind of coming back and trying to add more to the idea.
Yeah,
that,
trying to justify the points that he's already made. Which
just providing more backup.
Well,
evidence.
John was a very rich writer, you know, or documenter, I should say.
Yep. More so than the other 3 Gospels, I think, anyway.
So, Walter, I guess while we're down with you, what you got coming up, buddy?
Yeah, we'll start going through us here. So it's going to be a little bit rainy tomorrow. I won't get out for my morning walk. I have to do the in-house gym stuff, which I don't like to do. But anyway, I got some loading I got to get done for next week for this Schofield project. I'm going to try to get the shooting done for that. We'll see how that goes. And I need to. I got no 357 Magnum ammo loaded. I got no 44
None.
Magnum ammo loaded,
Whoa.
and I got no 41 Magnum ammo.
Well,
So I got to
that's
get on my
unacceptable.
Magnums and get some of those guys loaded up. And I just got a new 41 mag revolver too, and I got no ammo loaded for it. So I got to get busy on those this weekend. I never shoot tons and tons of Magnum ammo. You know, if I go to the range, I'll shoot specials and then a couple wheels full of the Magnum rounds, but I got none. So
I
I
was
got to
going to
get.
ask if you looked into 41 special.
Oh, I've shot lots of 41 special out of the Smith & Wesson. Yeah. But I still prefer shooting the 41 Magnum out of that one. The 41 Magnum is it's a good cartridge for me to shoot for a Magnum cartridge because I can still shoot a substantial amount of it, not like 44 mag anymore. I used to shoot lots of that, but this just doesn't work with my wrist anymore. So anyway, I'll get. Go
I
ahead.
don't mind the recoil, but
Do
2
you have
weeks
a-
ago I spent a lot of time with the Maxi on the bench, and this
Yeah.
elbow here has got quite a crater in it.
Mm.
So today I made sure I had my big fluffy pillow up under this because
Oh yeah,
it hurts.
got your bag. Yeah.
They make
So
a
anyway,
glo-
yeah,
they
I'll
make
get
a
some of that
glove.
done. And next week, next Wednesday, Tom Del Mundo, that's Moondog, invited me to be a guest on his TMI chat. So I'm going to do that next
Woohoo!
Wednesday afternoon.
That's gonna
And
be
then
fun.
Thursday through Sunday, I'm out of town. It's an annual thing that I go to with my adventure rider motorcycle buddies. So camp out and barbecue and that kind of thing. So I won't be here, at least on the panel Friday night. I doubt that I'll have cell service where we're going to be. So we'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, that's what's coming up for me. I got a new firearm en route, and you guys will see it in video eventually. It won't be too long, but it'll be a fun one. So that's what's happening over here at Casa de Viejo. Kind of
Good
normal.
deal. Good deal. Kyle,
Cast, load, shoot, rinse, repeat.
what's going on with Kyle?
Like I said, I got a little bit of time without the wife unit in the house. I'm gonna do some deep cleaning in the reloading room. Yes, thank you for your support. Got to get some stuff organized. I'm going to do a lot of 380 and hopefully some 44 Magnum loading with hopefully some different bullets. Let's see. We're going to go to the range. I'm going to try to get, she's supposed to come spend time with the dog. She never mentioned spending time with me, but I think on Thursday and Sunday, and we're going to try to get to the range and maybe get some videos. I noticed I got a new subscriber or two, and so I need to get some content out for them. So I know I can't show the loading, but I can show, I can pull a Viejo on everybody, just tease the heck out of you.
You can see the final result. And show
I love what you're doing, Walter. It's awesome. I enjoy every single episode of it.
Thank you, sir.
But other than that, I'm just going to keep on keeping on. We're trying to deal with all this rain that we're getting tonight that we weren't really expecting. I think I'm done transferring rainwater from one barrel to the other, so I think I can go to bed and get ready to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Other than that, that's all I got.
Rebel, what's going on with you, bud? You get my
got
text?
Yes, I did. You told that you could tell that by 03.
The 03 is just a prefix suffix that Lyman uses. We're talking about a mold that Mike had that sent me a private picture of. We don't really know what they mean. Lyman does that, just like the letters, the A's and B's and CW's, and these different. They're some kind of. They mean something to them. Maybe it's a shift thing, or maybe it's a personal thing. I don't really know. But the numbers I went by are the 454424.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's 45 Colt, which is my favorite round. So I don't know, guys. Maybe I'll be leaning on y'all for a little bit. And I've got I got about a 75-gallon bucket of pyramid sinkers that my uncle made, and I'm not sure. They're back when he made those. He's been dead for 25 years, so back when he made those probably wheel weights and lead. So we'll see. You know, I might.
It'll work.
Yep, I don't have a furnace yet, but I'll slowly acquire some
You don't
stuff.
need it. You can do it with a pot on the stove or a pot on the fire.
Right.
A dipper. You can
Do not do it in the kitchen. No.
No, I won't. Don't worry.
Mama Rebel will not have that.
A hot plate.
Well,
Hot
Mama
plate would- fine.
Mama Rebel didn't like when I cleaned my muzzle loader in the bathtub or skunned catfish in it.
And don't do it on a glass table.
Right. But a funny episode from last week, and I won't get into all my business ventures and everything that went on, but my daughter came home for Easter, and my youngest daughter is she's the Gen Zer. She's a beautiful young woman. Of course, she's my daughter, but she has weird color hair, and she has piercings. And I told her, she asked me what I thought about them, and I said, "You look like you fell in a tackle box." And she just laughed at me. "Dad, you're such a nerd." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go there." Well, she brought home a friend. Thank God she did bring home her boyfriend. And I know they don't watch the Georgia Shooting Connection, so I can be honest. I don't really like her boyfriend. He's very autistic. I call him Rain Man. And I'm not making fun of autistic people because my daughter's somewhat autistic too, but he is really bad. Supper was ready one time, and I yelled back in the back of the house and said, "Hey, supper's ready." No response. Supper's ready. No response. I said, "Jeopardy's on at 7. I'll be damned if he didn't come out." So that's a Rain Man reference if y'all don't get it. But she brought home a friend, and at first glance, it seemed like a cute young lady. And then she opened her mouth, and she had that Waffle House waitress sort of deep voice. And so when they walked back to their room to go watch a movie or whatever, I looked at my wife. I said, "That's not a dude, is it?" And she said, "No, it's not a dude." I said, "Are you sure? Have you Crocodile Dundee?" No, I haven't. And I was like, "Well, I'm not sure." So that whole weekend, I mean, my wife dyed her hair, did her hair. She's got a cute little Joan Jett haircut, and I told her that. I complimented her, and still had that deep, gravelly voice. And I'm thinking, oh my God. I said, "Please tell me my daughter's not going there." And anyway, they're getting ready to leave. And I said, "Jay," I said, "Did you make a nickname for yourself like my daughter did? Because if you notice, I call her by her birth name, the name I gave her upon her birth." And she said, "Yeah, I noticed that." And she said, "And that's okay." She said, "I mean, you must be very, very proud of Morgan." I said, "I am." I said, "So you got a nickname?" She said, "Yeah, my nickname's Jay. It's just simpler to sign." I said, "What's your God-given name?" And she went, "Gabriella." And I went, "Whew, okay." Because I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure. The generic clothing they wear now, I'm just really not fit to raise a Gen Zer, but I'm trying. I'm trying. My wife's much better equipped, much more understanding than I am. And I'm just a Neanderthal cruising through a libtard world. I am. I don't understand anything. I don't know anything. Everything I say is antiquated and sort of hilarious to Gen Zers. Hopefully one day she'll look back and say, you know, my dad was a damn genius. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. My other two kids have been very successful in life. I have no doubt Morgan will too. I pray for her every night, and kid's got a lot of anxiety. She's up in college by herself, and a scary time for a kid. It wasn't for me, but this is a different generation now, you know?
Sure enough.
Yep.
Sure enough. Ricky, what you got coming up next week? We got short time.
Oh, not much. I'm gonna get some more stuff loaded up this week. Hopefully, got a Cowboys match in the morning. That's probably about all I've got going around my house right now. Hopefully next weekend I'll get to the range and shoot everything up that I've loaded. So hopefully I'll get there. That's about all I got.
Good deal. Well, I'll cut it short because we're going over in time, but I got a couple videos coming up. I got another range day with the 3006. I find some good loads, and I got a couple more things I'm going to slip in here. I did about 4 videos today, so I'm going to slip some stuff in between, and hope everybody has a great week. And come on back next week, and we'll be here again, and I have some more to talk about. Been a great show. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
All right.
Good night, folks. Thanks for playing along.
Good night, everybody.